Welcome to Ladies Talking Leafs. I'm Chris.
And I'm Sil.
And starting out the show today with positivity. Congrats to former Leafs captain Matt Sundin, the recipient of the Boreas Alming Courage Award for 2025. I listened to, it was a big event, I guess, that the NHL alumni did over in Stockholm, Sweden. They're doing they had the global series there with Pittsburgh and Nashville. But they had this special event, I guess, for the Boreas Alming Courage Award. And I listened to his acceptance speech, and he told this story. I think maybe I heard it once before, but he told the story of when he got traded to the Leafs in 1994. He was at Boreas Alming's hockey camp in Kiruna, Sweden. And when he told Salming that he was traded to Toronto Maple Leafs, Salming was like, yes. I was just like, wow. I'm like, I thought that was really cool, right? Just to have I guess he's a hero. Boreas Alming's a hero in Sweden for all Swedish hockey players and sports fans, I think, alike. But it was just nice to see that and always have the memory of Boreas Alming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that Borea, he surely, we talk about guys that bleed blue. He's definitely one forever and ever. And he's a real mentor to a lot of players in Sweden. So for Mats to get this award in his name, that's a pretty big honor. And very happy for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
All right. Another positive we want to highlight is another milestone for John Tavares. He played in game 1200 versus the Carolina Hurricanes and got a goal and an assist in that game. Also, William Nylander hit game number 700 versus the LA Kings. So the thing that really caught my attention for this is it's not just the longevity of a guy like John Tavares, but to get these milestones, and even Willie, he's kind of halfway through, I guess. But
I couldn't believe Willie is at 700 already.
Well, the thing that I was going to mention is this is a testament to really how durable these guys are. Like, I don't want to jinx them or anything, but for the most part, they play a lot of games. Like, they're not out. They haven't had, injury-riddled seasons and things like that. So, good for them to hit these milestones. And of course, John Tavares so consistent and still showing the young guys, how to be a pro. So very happy for both of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, he's so Tavares actually right now he has 24 points and he's tied for 9th in the league in the NHL right now, which is incredible. He's tied with guys like Jack Eichel, Mark Scheifele, Cale Makar, and Willie is 3rd in the NHL for assists. He has 18 assists, so he's tied with Malkin and Makar for that. So these guys are they're rolling, these guys. It's just the thing is we got to keep it out of our net somehow. But it's we're lucky they are rolling. I couldn't imagine if they weren't.
Exactly. We would be in dire straits if that was the case. So
yeah. And one thing just to note to the listeners, I am a little bit under the weather, so if I start to cough or anything, you'll notice that. But I should be okay.
You're
pushing through it. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we are working on the setup of our new segment, Leave It to the Ladies, and just putting the finishing touches on it. So we'll have it ready for our December 3rd episode. So look out on our social media posts. Our handle is at LTL1917 across all social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, X, and Threads. And we will also put the link in our show notes for this show and future shows. So look out for that. You can find the link there.
Yeah, Leave It to the Ladies is where we want to hear from you, Leafs Nation. So once a month, we're going to choose a comment or two from the messages, and we will put it on the air for everyone to hear. And you can leave that for us, and we're excited to hear your thoughts and questions related to the Leafs. So now it's time to get into the show, and we're going to have a segment of the good, the bad, and the ugly for you. And then for a third period segment, we welcome ESPN NHL writer Kristen Shilton to the show. So without any further ado, let's talk Leafs.
All right, the good, the bad, the ugly. So wasn't much of a choice here for good things, but the good that I'm going with is that the Leafs are going on the road. And I just think it's going to be good for them to, I guess, start to bond as a team more so than and be together and go out for dinners and just hang out as guys, basically, to learn more about each other. And yeah, and actually today I was listening on the Toronto sports show that Toronto Raptors head coach Darko Rajakovic, he was saying how, I guess it's the reverse for the Toronto Raptors right now. They're on the road all the time. They played 9 games, I believe, out of 13. It was 8 or 9 games out of 13 on the road. And he was saying how it was really tough, but he's like, it was good to start the season that way because it did build that camaraderie and just to learn how to win on the road. They're at a different stage, obviously, the Raptors in their development as a team, but still, I saw a little bit of a connection there. So I thought that there was kind of a link there to that. But yeah, I really think that they need to go on the road and just be together as a team. And like you were telling me, Sil, the other night, they need to have maybe Simon Benoit will play better having more espressos from him making his own espresso coffee with his little suitcase as he carries it along on the road trips or anything, a little coffee maker.
Yeah, I'm sure that when they're on the road, like just like that at home, they have their routines. On the road, they have their routines. And that's obviously part of Benoit's routine. So it's just going to be good for them to kind of get a different thing going, switch it up a little bit. And like you said, hang out together a little bit. And hopefully this will do some good for them. Absolutely. All right. So my good, again, with not a lot to choose from, is welcoming back Joseph Woll.
After only one game. He's
yes,
the good.
Yes. And it's not going to be about stats. It's not going to be about, analyzing his game. Although I thought he looked good last night. He seemed pretty mobile. He, let in some goals, obviously. Most of them weren't horrible. But I just think that they really need his energy in the room right now. Like he is, such a positive guy, and a calming presence. Like, I just feel like they did look different in front of him too last night. So I think that, even, with Stolarz, it's just going to take a little bit of pressure off of him too. So I just kind of like the fact that he's back in the net, and that made me as a Leaf fan feel more calm too. So I'm just happy to see him back between the pipes.
Yeah, I know when they were showing his face, I guess, when he was playing during the broadcast last night on Saturday night, I was looking at his face, and it just looks like he has that calming presence. Like you said, it looked like he was dialed in for his first game. He actually said he was a little bit nervous after the game, which I can see that. And I like the fact after the game, Jake McCabe said that he went over to him and said that you played really good. It's making sure he feels comfortable in the net. It's his first game back, and knowing the kind of guy Joseph Woll is, that just to give him that reassurance and don't get into the lack of confidence that the team seems to have right now. But yeah, no, I thought he had a solid game, definitely for the first game back. And I think with Anthony Stolarz, it's going to be interesting to see when he does come back from this minor injury or whatever is ailing him. It's going to be interesting to see how Stolarz, if he automatically just plays really good, gets his form back to the way we were used to seeing him from last year, or if he's gonna still kind of struggle a little bit. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see with the dynamics now with Woll being back.
Well, I think, it's possible that Stolarz is the kind of guy that kind of needs that internal competition to get the most out of his game. And, if there's going to be somebody that he's kind of, measuring himself up against and battling for ice time, maybe that's how he gets the best out of himself. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not cut out to be like a pure number one, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, they have a good relationship and they back each other up. And I think that's going to give comfort to both of them and hopefully pay dividends for us on the ice.
Yeah. All right. So moving on to the bad. So there's lots of bad, obviously, but I'm going to single out a new guy in the group to the team that joined the team this year is forward Dakota Joshua. I don't know. I'm not impressed with it. He played a little bit better yesterday. He was on the fourth line and playing versus Chicago, and he's just I looked up his stats, I guess. So he has 5 points in 19 games, but he's averaged over 12 minutes of ice time.
That's a lot.
Yeah. You got to get something more out of a guy that's playing 12 minutes of ice time. It's the same. I didn't look closely at Nicholas Waugh because that was the other guy I was debating on, like to as a bat as well. But when they're playing 12, 13 minutes a night, you got to get more points than 5 in 19 games. And he's been pretty steady up until last night. He was with Nicholas Waugh and Michelli on the right side. So, I mean, it's been pretty steady third line basically until last night. So it's not like he's been switched around every game with new line mates. So I don't know. I was just last night, he had a couple of opportunities in front of the net. And I just thought, why don't you have your stick on the ice? Like it's always up sort of thing, right? And I'm like, have your stick on the ice ready for the puck. I'm like, what are you doing there? But I mean, he doesn't seem to he has a bit of physicality, but I don't know. I was just expecting a little bit more considering that he's got that amount of ice time. And I know he has that, I guess, link from St. Louis with Craig Berube. So obviously they know each other from the past, but I don't know. I just think he can play better.
For me, the biggest thing with him is I just don't notice him. I forget he's on the ice, and that is not a good thing. Like, I want to see some pop from guys every now and again so that I just know that they're still alive and still on the ice. They need to, like you said, like there's lots of ways to contribute. And if he's not getting the points, then he needs to do something else to kind of change the energy, make an impact. And from that, maybe the points will come.
Yeah.
We're not having trouble getting the puck in the net. We are having trouble keeping teams out of our zone and imposing our will on the game. So I'm pretty sure that's kind of what they brought him for. And he's not doing that.
Well, he was, that's all I see from him though. Like they dig around in the corners and but then most of the time they don't come out with the puck. It's going the other way. Right. So something has to change that way. I don't know. Hopefully this road trip, helps with that because he is new to the team, both him and Waugh.
Yeah, but, and it can take a while for people to get acclimated for sure.
And before we go on to your bad though, because you did say that I guess with the points, just a shout out to Nick Robertson because that's actually a good. He's had 10 points in his past 11 games. So
he's cementing himself in the lineup. Finally. So good for him. Yes, definitely worthy of an honorable mention there on the good side.
Yeah.
All right. So my bad is basically the team's non-existent ability to break the puck out of our zone. So it's giving Christine and I kinks in our neck to have to turn. Like we're older people. So, if we have to look one way for too long, then we might get stuck there. And that seems to be what's happening.
Especially my seat. My seat is a little bit more angled at Scotiabank Arena where we're sitting together, obviously. But yeah, it's it's doing a job on our necks, that's for sure.
Yeah. So, we have no defensemen that have this ability right now. I mean, Riley, you could say he's probably the guy that would be the best at it, but we're just not really seeing enough of it. As far as the team defense goes, we have forwards that seems to be wanting to cherry pick, not coming back to help, not helping, break out of our zone that way. Yeah, it's a real problem, and we're spending all of the time in our own end. And just, I would say that Saturday night's game versus Chicago, which we're recording after, was a lot better. To that end, I'm going to say they need to keep Easton Cowan in the lineup because they did a much better job of it. He did a much better job of it, getting the puck out and down the ice and doing something with it. And it showed because we had like the best shots on goal that we've had, for several games. And it was a back and forth game, and it was a much more enjoyable game to watch too. It's not like they didn't look like they were stuck in mud all night. So I'm kind of hoping that they find a way to do that more consistently. But if they can't, then it's going to be kind of bad news for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously they're missing Austin Matthews.
Yes.
But hopefully he'll be back in the next couple games anyways. But, and for this road trip coming up. But, yeah, I just think, like Morgan Riley was saying after the game in Chicago, that they're squeezing their sticks a little bit too, because because Chicago came back and again, we had the lead. And that seems to be a theme creeping back into our game where we're having these 2-goal leads or 1-goal leads and the other team ties it. And that's the point where there's that confidence issue and they get stuck in their own zone and they can't get the puck out. They're squeezing their sticks, and that's something they have to work through. Like Craig Berube was saying, it's just something as a group that they have to work through, and because they've done it before. It's not like it's a new, everybody's new on the team, right? They've done it before, especially the defense. I mean, obviously they're not, the defense is not, except for Morgan Riley, is not like a puck carrying defense core. But I mean, well, Ekman Larson is pretty good at it.
Yeah. And Benoit actually can break it out too, somewhat.
Sometimes he's flying around there though, but I'm like,
the thing is, what I see is that, okay, like when does this tend to happen? Third period, when you're fighting in your own zone and you can't get off the ice, you can't break it out. It's hard work. You are
the other problem.
Wasting your energy.
Yeah.
Like you are tiring yourself out.
They're staying out there too long a few times.
Sure.
Like lately in the last few games, they're staying out too long and then they're getting stuck in their own zone.
Yeah. So that to me is the problem. They're not playing an efficient game. They're not using their energy effectively. And that is leading to not being able to hold leads and get these breakouts.
And that's the shift management too. So I don't know if that's a combination of the coaching and I mean the players on the ice. So I mean you don't have a rope to bring them in, right? But they got to know when to come off the ice so that you don't get into those bad situations. Yeah,
there just needs to be like just tighter, and it goes to that attention to detail like everyone's talking about, and that's those are some of the attention to detail. They need to be more efficient, just more, just follow the game plan. Right?
Yeah.
Anyways.
All right. And speaking of a game plan, there is for our ugly now. The game plan is not going good on the power play.
No.
Okay.
Still no.
Yeah. I guess as of Sunday, when we're recording this podcast, the Leafs are 26th in the NHL.
Oh, they moved up a little bit.
Yeah, they have. It's running at a 16% clip. But I was actually looking at the amount of opportunities they get too, because I think you mentioned this the other night. So they've had 50 opportunities, but take a guess at who has the second most power play opportunities. I thought to myself, it's just funny. I don't know how they get away with it. Like
Florida?
Yep. They have they've had 70 opportunities as opposed to our 50.
I would love to be a fly on the wall at their practices, because I'm sure they practice these things, like they are so shifty. Like the other day too, Bennett with an elbow, and they get away with it. Like I don't even, and then they probably get the power play on top of it. So like, I don't know how they do it, but they are greasy. That's for darn sure.
Paul Maurice, I don't know. Maybe he has a...
But why didn't he show our Leafs how to do that when he was here?
Yeah, true. Oh, he was younger
he could have instilled that in our culture, but no.
Yeah, but I mean, we just have no confidence on this power play. And the player that you mentioned that just came back, the youthfulness into our group, Easton Cowan, came back, and he's the only one that really could do something other than doing that drop pass to another player. And I don't know, like Mark Savard needs to figure something else out, or just tell the players to do what they want to do, because they're all creative players when it comes to Nylander, Matthews, obviously when he's in the game, and Tavares.
That might be the way to go. Like just take the reins right off for a while. I mean, it can't get any worse.
Yeah, because because the other part of their game, obviously, they're having issues with it too, the defensive game. But if they would get a goal on the power play, like we could have won that game. We could have stretched it out to 3-1 at the time. And won that game if we could just score on the damn power play, but it just doesn't.
Well, and like you said, like we get so few opportunities, and I don't know, maybe that puts extra pressure on them too. The fact that we just don't draw many, but they do need to make them count, because we don't get that many chances, right?
Yeah.
So it's a problem, but the fact that we're 26 now and we're at what you said 16%, that's that's almost double from when we were at 9%. So I'm kind of happy that there's a little bit of improvement. So I'm just going to be positive on that. And like you said, and we were talking earlier, Easton Cowan, he was a breath of fresh air out there.
Yeah.
He looked really good and made smart plays, and he finds guys. I think he's a keeper, and now that they've made some roster moves, he should stay in the lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. All right. So the Leafs aren't the only team struggling this season, of course. And to talk about what's going on around the league and with the Leafs, we welcome Kristen Shilton from ESPN for our third period segment.
The Leafs have played 18 games with a record of 8-2, and going into the game number 19 versus the Blackhawks tonight. And to talk about what's going on with the Leafs, we welcome to the show ESPN NHL writer Kristen Shilton.
Many fans know Kristen from her time as Leafs beat reporter for TSN. Today, she writes NHL news stories and features for ESPN during the season, and can also be heard on the platform's podcasts and Sportsnet Center. Welcome to the show, Kristen. It's great to have you.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It's great to talk to you guys again.
Yeah. All right. So, seems like the never-ending story, Kristen, from the start of this season. What's wrong with this version of the Maple Leafs? There's too many negatives to mention here, but we want to ask you if you think this team just needs more time to build team chemistry, or is the player that left us for Sin City so important that it's made this team forget how to play hockey?
Well, I know Mitch Marner is a wonderful player, but I don't think that he can be responsible for the defensive issues that I think are the biggest problem for Toronto this year. To be honest, it's, they're getting decent output from the players that need to produce. You see what William Nylander's doing, especially at even strength. John Tavares, obviously, Matthew Knies is kicking in goals. Your depth is going to take a hit without Marner, but it's just the team defense. And you see what they're giving up. You see the rush chances against. And the fact that the Leafs picked up Troy Stetcher off of waivers today.
Mhm.
He's going to be, he'll be a third pairing guy. If he's there at all, he'll be maybe an upgrade over, some of the guys that they have in that role now, which is positive. But the way that I sort of see the Leafs this year that I haven't seen them in years past is just, it really looks like they're trying and it's not working. Like it, and what
Yeah.
I mean by that is that there's been knocks on the Leafs in the past, like, oh, well, they're not really putting an effort to play defense. Well, no, I think they are, but it just seems like they don't have the right mix of personnel to make it happen, and that's what's hurting them.
Yeah, and
It's almost like they're putting in too much effort now. Like they just seem to be working so hard that I feel like they're burning out every game. Like that's what it seems to look like to me. What were you going to say, Chris?
No, I was going to say, do you think it's like maybe Craig Berube's system too, that he's trying to get them to play? I mean, because last season, it's basically the same defense, obviously with the exception of Chris Tanev, who's injured, who's the biggest piece of all of them, apparently. We knew that he was important, but didn't realize it was going to have catastrophic situation here, because giving up 4 breakaways versus Carolina in that second period, it was just insane. But I don't know, do you think it maybe is a little bit of the system that Craig Berube is trying to instill in them, and it's just not enough practice time because of the condensed schedule? That's the only thing I could think of, but I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if it's the system, because I think that, the Leafs did respond to Berube last year. They were one of the stingiest teams in the league. They played really well defensively. I think one of the major factors with Tanev being out, other than not having him there, is that he makes Jake McCabe so much better that when Tanev is out, it's almost like you get such a different version of McCabe that it almost feels like you're a two-top defense, because you don't have the McCabe that you want and that you would have when Tanev was there as well. So I do think that there's a ripple effect from Tanev's absence in that respect. But at the same time, I think with Berube, you can't just always jump to the coach and say, it's your fault, you're not getting the most out of these guys, because again, they really did well, I thought, last season defensively, with what Berube put in place. And he's such a likable coach. He's so easy to play for that it seems odd that, they wouldn't take to what he's saying. He's very straightforward. He's like, we're playing north-south, we're playing hard. There's nothing fancy about it, and that should be easy, right? So I think the fact that, yes, it's a condensed schedule, it's been a lot of home games for the Leafs too. They haven't really been on a good road trip yet as a group. They haven't really bonded,
yeah, that's what we're hoping as well ourselves coming up. Yeah.
Because they've got that big road trip coming up at the end of the month. And I do think that that's going to help. I think that if they can bond a little, William Nylander talking about, you have to have each other's backs. And I totally agree. But at the same time, that's how you get that close as a team. Even if you've been together for a few years, like a lot of this group has, you got to sort of reforge those bonds. And I think when they do that, you're going to see a stronger chemistry.
All right, so we talked a little bit about Berube right now as far as systems go, but in the past few games, if you take a look at him on the bench, he looks like he's ready to explode back there with the team's lack of attention to detail, and specifically on the defensive side of the game, which we just discussed. So he's also said that he feels that this is all kind of a mindset problem. So do you agree that this is the case with these guys?
I mean, what did Berube say at the end of last season when everything went awry for the Leafs in the playoffs? He said it's a mindset. You have to. This is a coach that has taken a team that was middling to start the year to win a Stanley Cup. He knows what mindset means. And if the mindset that the Leafs have is that they're losers that can't play defense, then they can put in all the effort they want. It's not going to work. You have to have that belief that you are a good team, that you are a good defensive team. And that's what I felt like the confidence was there more for the Leafs last year. When you were around them, it really felt like even when, the team was going through rough patches or, they were struggling, there was still that swagger. And I think some of that is maybe what Berube is hinting at as well, is just like, you have to still believe every time that you touch the puck that you're going to do the right thing with it. You have to still believe that, your teammate's going to be able to pick up their assignment. And as long as you do your job, then everything, you got to believe that your goalie is going to make saves. And there's just a mentality of winning. And I know that Berube obviously is familiar with that, having won, but even for me, just as a reporter, being around, the Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers the last couple of years, being around the Golden Knights, being like, I asked Jack Eichel earlier, this fall, I was like, well, what's the expectation for the Golden Knights this year? And he looked me dead in the face and he was like, to win the Stanley Cup. That's the only expectation. That's the only success. And you have to have that. Like, if, that's the mentality you have to have. And I think that's what Berube wants from this group, is just a winning, like, you can't doubt yourself. And
because
there's a lot of doubt.
Yeah, because a lot of times, like our players, the Leafs, they don't seem to come out blatantly and say that they like the goal is to win the Stanley Cup. I mean, what's wrong with saying that? I don't know. We never get that, but other players, like you're saying, Jack Eichel and on other teams, whether it be even Brad Marchand, like Sam Bennett, Nikita Kucherov, they all want to win the Stanley Cup. They'll come right out and say it, but our players never do. I don't know.
No, it's like they're afraid to put it into the universe, right? But it's like, you gotta, like, you have to believe in it so wholeheartedly that you're not going to be denied. It doesn't matter if things are going well, things are going poorly. The goal doesn't change.
So then, how do we explain it when every season there's been quite a lot of turnover, and they've done their best to bring in guys that have won and have been in those cultures? How can we explain it, though, that when new people come in, they just seem to adopt this mindset that the Leafs have? Where does that come from?
Yeah.
That I guess is the big question, that we're all trying to answer. Kristen, do you have the answer?
Well, the Leafs should hire you right away if you do.
No, but look at it from the flip side, like how everyone says about the Florida Panthers. It's like you go to the Panthers and suddenly you're just a different player. Like it brings out the best in you to go to that franchise because of their mentality, because of the way that they work together, because, there's a laundry list of reasons. But what the thing is with Toronto is that it all starts with, your best players obviously are creating your culture. That's your foundation, is who's been there the longest, who are the guys that are, getting everybody together, who's rallying the troops, so to speak, like who's the guy who's speaking up. Do you have enough of those people? Because it can't be the fourth line guy. It can't be like Steven Lorentz trying to like get everybody juiced for a game. It's like, it's got to come from, those top guys. And are they vocal enough? Like, I know Austin Matthews is a captain that everyone says leads by example. He doesn't necessarily want to be the rah guy, but you need somebody. And Mitch Marner was a rah guy. Like, that is one thing about him, is that he had a lot of fun. And this team doesn't look to me like they're having any fun. And there's not a lightness anymore. And you need that. Like, you need someone that can just say, hey, we might have just gotten our butts kicked in the last game, but we're going to go into this game knowing that was 1 of 1 and that this is this whole new chapter. And when you have that mentality, when everyone's just loose and everyone's just like, we know we're good and it doesn't matter if we go through bad stretches, like, that's what the Panthers have that everybody loves, is that they don't get down on themselves. I've never been around this team in the last 2-3 years where it's ever been like, oh man, like, we suck. Like, and that's what I feel like every night watching these interviews with the Leafs do after games. They're so downtrodden. So you've just got to get those guys to be vocal. I think that's what this team lacks, is that you just got to get those voices going.
And it's probably a little bit to do with the market here, obviously, like the Leafs being the center of the hockey universe. In Florida, obviously, it's not as paid attention to, let's just say. So I guess like they can come out and say whatever they need to say, but here, as soon as they say anything, like it's I guess like looked at really closely by the media and the fans, right? So I don't know. That's the other part of the equation, I guess, when it comes to the media and the fan attention, that kind of thing. But you would just think that the players that have been here the longest, like Morgan Riley, William Nylander, John Tavares, Austin Matthews, like they should know by now. I don't know. They should know by now, I just think. And it would be nice to see one of those players, maybe not John Tavares. I mean, he's having a fabulous season. But I give him a pass. But some of the other guys, like I'd like to take the bull by the horn and just like, it'd be nice to see one of them carry the team a little bit through this, especially, and get them out of it. Yeah.
It's just interesting too that, like you're talking about team cultures, like another culture that, was really lauded for a lot of these elements that you're talking about is Boston. And, everyone thought that team was going to crumble, and they seem to still have it. And of course we get Brandon Carlo from them thinking he's going to bring some of that with him. And that just hasn't seemed to materialize.
Yeah. The longer that I cover sort of the league at large and the way that it seems like every trade deadline practically for the past 10 years, the Leafs are always like, we're bringing in guys that have championship experience, and we're bringing in guys who have, that winning mentality. And then look at a guy like Ryan O'Reilly coming out, last week and saying, I had one good year my entire career. Well, the Leafs brought him here because he had championship experience, and it didn't do anything to help them. It didn't do anything, apparently, to make O'Reilly feel good about himself in Nashville. And it's because hockey is the ultimate team game. You can't just pick out one player and say, he has championship winning experience. Let's put him on this team that has no championship winning experience among its top, what do you want to say, players, and then just expect that somehow that player is going to make the difference. And you wish that it could be more transferable, but it just goes to show you that it's a collective mentality. Like if Brandon Carlo came into the same sort of place that Boston is at, where they have, I just think, a pedigree, even though, because they've won recently, at least, there's not the same sort of 57, 56 years of losing behind it. But it's also just that if you come into a market like Toronto, and the other side of the media is that they'll hail you as a savior before you even touch the ice. They'll be like, oh, good thing they got Brandon Carlo. Now he's going to come in and bring some of that Boston edge. And all of a sudden you're Brandon Carlo thinking, well, I could play that way in Boston because everybody else played that way, but they don't play that way here. So I can't play the way that I used to because it doesn't work. And so it's like the learning curve becomes so big here.
Yeah. So what I'm kind of hearing and thinking as I'm listening to you is that really, ultimately, this team and this organization seems to be always looking outside of itself, always looking externally. And what really it's going to come down to is it has to come from within. And maybe this is something that they can kind of learn from what the Jays did, because that's the ultimate demonstration of that. The team coming together. And as you said, teams like Florida have that. There basically has to come from within every guy pulling together on the same rope as a team.
Yeah. And, another thing about that Blue Jays team is that, I'm not saying that Toronto is the center of the MLB world, but there's a lot of media attention on that team. And that never seemed to bother them. Like, they seem to really embrace it. And I think that that's the other thing, that if Toronto's players could embrace it more, like not just say they embrace it, but actually embrace it, like embrace the fact that people care so much about what you're doing that they care enough to fight about who should be your fourth line left wing playing for 4.5 minutes a game. They care about that. And isn't that a wonderful thing? And that's a mentality that you can have too. You don't have to be, afraid to be proud of how good you can be.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think as fans, like, we want nothing more than to have that kind of feeling you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. All right. Well, turning now to the captain, Austin Matthews, we talked to him about a little bit, but the majority of us fans, and us included, thought Matthews would start the season like the superstar he's paid to be, but so far it hasn't worked out that way, and now he's injured. Hopefully only for a couple of games, they say, but he's out of the lineup. And obviously it's a big change for him this season, not having Marner on his right side, but I'm sure many others expected him to carry his own line, basically, because he is a star in this league. And what are your thoughts on Matthews to this point in his play and as captain?
Well, I think that, yes, the adjustment without Marner is obviously going to affect him, but to me, it's more that the team hasn't settled in, and Berube has been changing the lines so often that it's like, even if you're as good as Matthews is, you'd like to just be able to say to your coach, like, just give me a longer runway here with some guys. Let's build some rapport. Let's build some chemistry here. And Berube has just been very quick to jump from, whether it's Nyes up there, is Nylander, is it going to be Robertson, is it going to be Michelli? Like, he's churning through all these wingers. And I don't think that that's, at least from my experience, like, even just to look at Marner, he was supposed to go to Vegas and immediately click with Jack Eichel. Didn't happen. You put Mark Stone up with Eichel and they were like gangbusters, right? It's just, but you've got to give things time. And if it's not working, it's not working, but you can't just, keep picking and picking and picking. So that's part of it. The other thing is I just don't necessarily see as much confidence in Matthews' game just overall, and maybe that's just because of the chemistry issues, but I think he's going to be fine. I think when he gets back, if the team can get rolling, I think that helps everything, but I just haven't thought that maybe that confidence in him, that swagger that the team is lacking, maybe there's a little bit of lack there for Matthews as well.
Yeah, so do you think that his injury problems, like I just remember at the very beginning of the season, even when he was asked about it, he didn't really come out and say like very convincingly, yes, I'm like 100% and I feel great. It was like, he used words like progressing and things like this, which didn't give us a lot of confidence. And of course, now we see that he's out and it seems like it wasn't actually incurred in a game, and it seems like it may have been something that was still there that he's been still going through. So is there potential that maybe he should be kept out longer so he can really get to be 100%?
Well, I mean, if you go through an off season for months and you come back and you can't say you're 100%, then there's not.
Yes, it's concerning.
There's probably not a lot that the team can do right now in that sense. I mean, and it does, we talk about Jack Hughes' injury luck, like freak accident, 8 weeks out. Like, that's crazy for a finger. But with Matthews, I don't know if it's injury luck or if it's just the way that he plays the game, because he is he's a big guy and he takes obviously a lot of hits. He's getting a lot of attention on the ice. I don't know if there's something degenerative. Like, I wouldn't ever want to speculate about someone's medical situation, but it is definitely, I think, a concern that if you go through the summer and you can't come back and say that you're 100%, and then you're already playing at a deficit and you're not necessarily producing the way that you want to, and now you're injured and it's only November, like, that's not a great sign. But I think if that's also affecting, if it's in the back of his mind, the potential for injury, and if that is maybe making him hesitant to do what he does best, I mean, that's hurting the team too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. All
right. Well, as usual, when things are not going well in Leafland, the focus tends towards the negative, which we've already discussed. But to finish our chat with you, we want to finish it on a positive note. So what do you think right now are the bright spots that you've seen so far in the Leaf season? And do you think that they can build on those to maybe turn things around?
Well, I think Joseph Wall coming back is a great thing for this group. I think.
I 100% agree with that. Like, we've really been missing his energy.
He does. He has a great energy. You talk about a guy who just, absolutely loves the game and brings a lot of that lightness to the room. That's him. So I think that having him back, and then when Stolarz is back, I think they're such a great tandem. I think Stolarz is going to feel less pressure when Wall is back, and that's going to be a real positive. And I've been really impressed with William Nylander. Obviously, John Tavares, the way that he's playing, those are two guys that you talk about putting the team on your back. Like, for the most part, they've been doing as much as they can in that department. And I think that again, your best players being your best players is positive. At 5-on-5 scoring, it's been good as well. So I do think that the foundation is strong with the Leafs. It's just they have to believe in it. And I know that that's the woo-woo, the hocus-pocus that nobody wants to talk about. And, they want to say, oh, it's, that doesn't matter. But it does. Like, these are
I'm all about the woo-woo, so I'm good with that.
You got to remember, these are human beings, right? Like,
absolutely.
They need to feel good about themselves. And I just think that the best, what is it? The quote is, winning is the best deodorant or whatever. So it's like, you got to win. You got to get on a little bit of a run here. And, they're in Chicago. That team's been playing well. You get a win at the United Center. You're going to feel good and come home before you go on that road trip. So I would say, if you're, you want to look on the bright side for the Leafs, know that they have some really, really top end talent that is playing well. And if they can just get some more guys pulling on the string here, I think they're going to be all right.
Yeah, I think, we're obviously putting the puck in the net. That hasn't been an issue. So it's just keeping it out of the net.
Yeah, I was just looking it up again because I checked yesterday, but Leafs are third in the league for goals for. Mm-hmm. They're right behind. They're like right behind the Ducks and the Avalanche, who are just
So like, really, things could turn around really quickly if they manage to find their defensive game. Because like, they're not having no issue getting it in the net on the other. And it's just the problem is Christine and I are getting kinks in our neck, watching the game just in one end, which is usually in our defensive zone. So,
but it's the league is weird this year. I'm telling you, I was watching the Vancouver Carolina game last night, and it was 1-0 Vancouver. I walked away for about a minute and a half and came back. It was 2-1 Carolina, and I was like, "What on earth just happened?" Like, it's been a lot of that neck. Like, just that kind of season, I don't know if it's the Olympics or everyone's just because of the compressed schedule. I don't know, but it's been that kind of a year. So, teams that have started well could take a step back. Teams that haven't started great can take a step forward. It feels like anything is possible this year.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you too, because the truth is, if you look at the standings, like any good week could totally change things for you, right? So
it's the parody. Basically, it's the parody that Gary Bettman loves, right?
Right?
That he, yeah.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Kristen. It's so great to get your insight on the league, and it's really awesome because, like you said, you watch every team, and it's actually really good for us Leaf fans because we're so engrossed in our team to know that we're in this microcosm of the team, of the league as a whole, and how maybe that makes us feel a little better that things are not as bad as they might seem to us.
It's not just here, don't worry.
Yes, I know. All right, hockey fans, you can check out Kristen's coverage of the NHL on ESPN on their website, and we have included a link in our show notes. And from time to time, you will hear Kristen on Toronto radio shows as well, giving her opinion on the Leafs throughout the NHL season. You can also find Kristen on social media. You can follow her on X at Kristen_Shilton is her handle. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Kristen. Thanks again to Kristen for coming on the show. She had a lot of interesting comments, actually. And a couple of them that I picked up on were about Craig Berube, and that he's a player's coach, which is true. It's funny though, because it really showed in the coach's comments after the game versus the Hawks. Like, he just said it's a confidence issue, and he has to motivate these guys to want to be better in the defensive zone or defensive part of the game, and they'll work through it basically. So for me, that's really showing that he cares about his players, and that he wants to get them through this, basically, right? He doesn't look like he's exasperated or anything like that, right?
But at the same time, too, like part of that job is playing these guys more to their strengths. So he needs to not just find the motivation, but utilize them maybe to the best of their ability in situations.
Well, he said there's different things that he's like, sometimes that's like kicking them in the ass, and sometimes that's telling them that it's like what they had a good night or they had a good game sort of thing, right? So he said that as well. But I just thought it was interesting that Kristen said that, and then the coach is in the post game interviews is kind of
reiterating that.
Yeah. And then she also mentioned about I guess on the negative side, I guess a little bit, and we've mentioned this before, even like towards the beginning of the season, that Berube, he doesn't seem to give the lines more time to build chemistry. And Kristen was specifically talking about like Austin Matthews and Matthew Nyes and the right winger position, and which has been basically a revolving door for the whole season. But I mean, obviously we mentioned it earlier, so we agree, but I just, I don't know. I just think too that the players themselves, I mean, he is Austin Matthews, like he should just come out and tell the coach too.
Well, like, I mean, like Willie apparently has his ear all the time and he listens to him. So I'm sure they have their discussions.
Yeah.
But yeah, he could make more demands. I mean, Connor McDavid gets what he wants.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So, did you notice anything else from what she?
No, I mean, I liked, actually, the one thing that I would say is I appreciated her insights on the league as a whole. Mentioning the other teams that have injury issues, other players that have injury issues, like Jack Hughes, for example. And that made me feel better as a Leaf fan. and of course we know, when we're watching our team, we're just so engrossed with our team. But yes, on the league at large, it's really tight this year. So one good week could make all the difference. And I really appreciated her, thoughts and insights on that, because as a Leaf fan, it made me feel a little better. And, knowing that it's, not that as bad as it could be. And other teams are struggling too. So.
Yeah. And she did, though, mention the name of the player that shall not be named, that we don't name, but that's okay. But I mean, it didn't work out for him too. I didn't realize that it didn't work out for him playing with Jack Eichel, and so I don't know what line he's playing on now, but anyways, we don't need to.
It's not the top one.
No. Yeah. All right, so we're going to look ahead now to the upcoming Leaf schedule for the next couple of weeks. Finally, the Leafs are going to hit the road with 6 of 8 games being played on the road. That's part of my good, yes. They start off at home, though, on Thursday night, and will face the Columbus Blue Jackets, who always seem to give us a problem. And then they hit the road with a Saturday night tilt in Montreal, which we're going to be at. We don't know where exactly in Montreal we'll be, but we'll be there. So look out on social media for that, or on our YouTube channel. And then we actually have 3 days off. Wow.
Wow.
Right? Yeah, before they play the Blue Jackets again, this time in Columbus.
And then the Leafs have back-to-back facing OV and the Capitals in Washington. And the following night, they travel to Pittsburgh for another Saturday night on the road. Then they head south to Florida on Tuesday, December 2nd, and play the Panthers for the first time since playing them in the second round of last year's playoffs. So, that's another team that, I mean, they're not, burning through the league either right now. I think that they don't feel like they need to. They kind of remind me of, when Chicago was winning all of their Stanley Cups back in the early 2010s there. There were a couple seasons where, they were not, burning through the league, but they basically did it when it counts. So I kind of feel like they know what they need to do. So that's going to be a good test for us when we play Florida again. And I guess they'll probably have a chance to get out on the golf course when they're down there and, do some of that bonding.
Yeah, because they'll have, whether or not they go down there early, I assume so, after the game in Montreal. They'll probably go down there early and enjoy a day or two or in the sun.
Yeah. And actually, I think it's a good thing that we're going to have a couple division games here too. Like, I feel like we haven't played anybody in our division for so long. And
we played the Bruins, and of course we lost, but yeah.
True.
Yeah.
True.
But
it's
only
just
team
they're here and there.
The only team that we haven't played is the Senators.
I know.
That's the weird one. Yeah.
Yeah.
That we haven't played Ottawa. So, yeah. But
anyway.
Yeah, but they have to get it going on this road trip, or I'm not really sure what's going to happen. I don't know. We'll see. But don't forget to follow us on social media, again, to our audience. Our handle is at LTL1917. And be sure to look for the contact link for our new segment, Leave It to the Ladies. It'll be posted and then also in our show notes. Also, hit that follow button on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to our podcast, and we'll have you up to date on the Leafs throughout the season. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. And we have a lot of new video content there from games we attend at home and on the road. Most recently, we've added some footage from Carolina game and LA from the pregame warm-up. So lots of cool stuff there. So check it out and subscribe. And you can also find us on the Believe Network at Believe.com. It's BLEAV.com. And we'd also love to hear from you. Leave us a rating or review. And let us know what you think of the show. Feedback from our listeners is so important, and we thank you for taking the time. And just a reminder, again, for our listeners on Spotify, we have a poll question every show, and with a simple tap, you can let us know what you think of the show. So have a look and just give it a little tap and let us know what you think of the show.
And another way to help us out is by visiting our Ko-fi page at Ko-fi.com. You can follow us there, and if you choose to, you can support our show by buying us a coffee. Any donation goes towards helping us produce the show and making it even better for you. You can find the link to our Ko-fi page on our show notes or in any of our social media profile pages.
And as always, thank you to our healthcare workers and first responders for everything that they do.
And we thank you, as always, for listening and watching Ladies Talkin' Leafs. Till next time, go Leafs, go.
Do you believe?